This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Thank you. Wow. Is he nervous or bored? So thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today. Could be the biggest crowd ever. Thank you very much, Karen Woodson. And make sure that Peter and Billy, thank you also for this large crowd. Everybody's eating and drinking, and we appreciate you all coming. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but this is my brother's family and our family, and they live in Cape Coral. And my wife is going to explain what's going on with the shirts.
Oh, well, I'm not going to explain. I will let. This is Carissa,
My brother's daughter.
Yes. So we were chit-chatting last night and trying to come up with a Ryan family name because
we had a lot to chit-chat about last night for anybody that was paying attention yesterday.
Okay. And anyways, so I said, maybe like you need something, you need the alliteration. So you need something with an R. I was like, Ryan this, Ryan that. So I said, how about Ryan Rebels?
Here comes another one.
And then come on. And so I texted, we were joking about that. And then they showed up with these shirts.
Just from last night. They made them last night.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Sorry.
So they show up with these shirts this morning. And I'm like thinking, wow, she must have ordered them. I didn't know she had the cricket thing. So I'm like, wow, they must have thought of this a while ago and done it. She goes, no, I went out last night at like 7:30 at night, bought all of these shirts and did them all night long to bring them to the show. So thank you so much.
Now, somebody in this group is going to be 7 years old. Who's going to be 7 years old?
Who's going to be 7?
And he's going, where do you think a 7-year-old goes for their birthday?
Disney.
Yes, Disney. The best purchase we ever made when Jilly was younger was annual passes to Disney. And that's what the family has. And Dad's going to be a police officer in Hendry County over here. And he's going to the academy when? Next week? 2 weeks. And so apparently in the academy, they make you run the bridge. And so I said, how many times have you practiced running the bridge? And he said 0. So that's going to be an issue.
That's going to be a family thing, too. We're all going to do that together as a family.
Do you know that? Do you know that running a bridge is different than running on flat territory or flat terrain? So, well, thank you guys for the shirts.
So let me just say.
Oh, go ahead.
So do you want to tell them your name? Say it. What's your name?
My name's Tanner.
Tanner.
All right. And what's your name? Go ahead.
Ryan.
Mm-hmm. And what's your name?
She's very
Gabby.
shy. She's shy for about the first 10 minutes, and then you can't stop her from running around. So.
Well, we can't thank you guys enough.
For coming.
First of all, for coming, but the shirts were over the top.
My brother's son is here also. One of his sons. How many do you have? 4, 5, 6? How many brothers do you have? I lose track of them all.
We're only missing one.
And my
now.
sister. Everybody knows my sister. So
2. Oh, that's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming, and thank you for spending some of your money here. And good luck in the academy. All right.
Woo!
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I lose track of all of these Ryans all over the place.
Now I want you to give a big hand.
You want to stay, or are you gonna go sit, or
you got some questions? You got some questions for Karen?
No. All right.
By the way, everybody,
all right.
just so you know, the vice mayor will be on in 2 weeks, and we have asked John and asked Scott to come on, and so we haven't heard back yet. They're going to check their schedules and see if they can come on, and we got rid of the mayor. We don't need his I don't knows anymore, so we're going to get people here that have the answers to the question. All right, go ahead.
All right, so you have one more. Do you have a question? Do you want to say something?
He just wants to sit there.
You just want to sit there? Well, we have someone that's got to sit in that seat.
We have a very important person here. Hey,
Can you come on? Hey, you know what? At the end, can you come on at the end? Yeah? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Town Councilwoman Karen Woodson. Thank you, kids. Come on down, Karen.
No,
Oh, yeah.
she's waiting for
Oh,
them
sorry.
to like.
Yeah.
Anthony, can you?
So did I, but they're not all here. So we're going to talk to the folks from FMB Strong about the Caftan Crawl, which is next Saturday at the end of the show. So when they're all here at the same time, that's what I thought. I thought they were coming on first, but we'll talk to them later. So Karen, how are things going?
Good.
Okay.
Better. Getting there.
Is there
Getting there.
Is there anything that you kind of want to? We can move that stool right out of the way. if
Yeah,
it's
you
in
want
way.
the foot
No,
in
I
there.
just want the foot
I got you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you kind of want to start with, or anything you want to share with anybody before we? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we would love to know how Mark is doing. Yes.
So, good news. Well, we're on week 11 of his recovery.
This is your husband, Mark.
My husband, Mark. So he ended up with a staph infection in his knee, and tomorrow is the big day after the third surgery and getting hopefully all the staples out, the drainage tubes out, all that kind of stuff, so he can actually get going on physical therapy. So, yeah, but it's week 11.
It's crazy because staph is everywhere. I mean, people get staph infections all the time, but every once in a while, there's one that's really, really bad.
And then, and on top of it, then he needs a knee replacement.
Oh boy.
But they won't do knee replacement
No,
for
no.
12 months after staph.
Oh wow. Can't do it all at the same time.
Nope.
No.
Nope. So this is just the warm up.
Yeah. All right.
What's coming in a year?
So just
Well, if you need any equipment or any help, let me
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Oh, we got a whole garage full of equipment right now. So
Good thing is he's an in shape guy, so he will do well
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
this recovery and that
37
recovery.
pounds he's lost.
oh
in
my
this
gosh,
thing.
he's got to
Wow.
be stick thin at 37 pounds. He's like 6'6" or something,
He's
right?
The heck with Ozempic.
Wow, 37
He's
pounds.
6'6", and now he weighs about 188 pounds. He's going to kill me for
Holy
saying all
smokes.
this stuff. But yeah,
Wow.
it's been interesting.
So just so everybody in the audience knows and everybody on Facebook knows, we will take questions later on if you want to ask questions. Obviously, this is a great audience. Everybody's going to be civil.
Yeah.
We know that.
Great
Everybody
crowd.
knows each other, big crowd. Somebody is watching the Facebook page. So if anybody is going to be an ass on the Facebook page, we're just going to block you. That's just the way it's going to go. You can ask questions. If it's a reasonable question on Facebook, we'll also ask Karen the question. The same thing that we do with the mayor every week. And by the way, I just want to mention Karen was actually the first one that suggested we kind of rotate things around. And the reason I didn't bite on that earlier on was because, it was called the Mayor's Show. We were branding it the Mayor's Show, but that's the only reason. So we're happy to rotate it around and have the other council members on. This could
Maybe
be.
you should call it Somebody on Sunday.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
alliteration.
Yeah.
Somebody on Sunday. Actually, I took that from Barry. I have to
Okay.
admit.
Thank you, Barry. Barry, I need to talk to you about those things that you're selling to block the water from I need to talk to you about those. But the other reason was I always felt like the mayor had more access to the town manager and the information, but I don't think that's true. That might have
Not
been the
true.
way it was, but you guys all meet
yeah.
with them.
We all meet on a weekly basis with Andy. We all have our time slots every week. We hear all of the same information from Andy that Dan does. I mean, there's 5 people on this council,
Mhm.
and that's how he views it, all 5 of us. So, yeah.
Can I ask the first question?
Right,
Then?
rock and
You
roll,
ready
lady.
to jump in? So, since Andy, you were just talking about Andy. I know.
Yeah.
I just want to
Very sad day.
give you a chance to say, how you felt about the resignation and what you see going forward, and in your own words.
So I was truly sick about his resignation. I am sick about it. I think Andy has done so much for our community, and he's been so invested in trying to move things forward. And I sat and talked to him afterwards, not right afterwards, a few days later. And of course, the HR and me came out because I had put together a package that I wanted to announce at Monday's meeting. But I didn't want to put him on the spot. And so I told him what it was. And I said, I only want to do this if you can.
Are you talking about tomorrow or last?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow. I said, I only want to do this if you are 80% in. And if you can't tell me that you're 80% in, then we just move forward. And he thought about it. He thought about it for 3 or 4 days, actually. And then just said, no, I'm going to stick with my decision for now. We'll see how the search goes and that type of thing. So So I won't be presenting that
What
at
was
all.
the package?
I'm not going to say.
Well, I had to ask. So on
That's for me to know and
And
Andy
you
to
to find
know,
out.
and
Wait.
that's all.
Did you email it to Andy on
No,
the
I did
account?
No, I did not. I talked to him.
Gotcha. So the thing I want to get your vibe from is I talked to almost everybody, and I felt like the town council thought, yeah, when we meet on Monday, we're going to offer him an extension to his contract, and we hadn't heard otherwise that he wouldn't take it. I think you kind of felt the same way. Do you really believe that it was the Weaver email to Andy's wife and that kind of crap that went on that caused him to resign?
I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, when you're on council, you're a town manager, you become a target in some respects. There's a lot of people with very strong opinions, and it's constant. It's constant. It's daily. It's many times a day. But I think when he overstepped and went towards his family
Yeah.
and his wife and that type of thing, that's crossing the line big time. It's one thing to come after us with opinions,
Or
but,
him.
which isn't pleasant at all either. But it's another thing when you cross the line and you start bringing the family involved, and that was it. That was it for Andy.
Yeah, he always said this was going to be his last job, and I mean, it's a kind of unfinished business. He's really leaving, I think, at the worst possible time for the town. They're really in the middle of a rebuild. They fixed the permitting system, and things are just starting to get built. And now you got to go through the whole thing. And you being in HR, there's going to be more turnover. He just fixed the staff.
I looked at the faces of his staff, and that was another one of my huge concerns, is what kind of domino effect this is going to have on our staff. I know we have a committed staff, but they were also very committed to Andy.
Mhm.
And the search is, I thought Talissa, our HR director, did a fabulous job on the job description, what she posted. We added a couple things. She sent it to me, and we added a few more things, but it's going to be tough. I mean, we are not in a stable environment right now on the beach with build back and
Tell
that
me
type
about
of
it.
thing. And, it's going to take, this is not a retirement job. This is not the last job. We need someone who's in there and a go-getter and really wants to tackle this. And I actually asked Talissa to add that if you don't live on the island, you at least have to live in the 33931 zip code.
Yeah.
Because you have to be ingrained in the community to understand the people, what's going on, what we have as challenges, what are the benefits, all of that thing. You've got to be totally engrossed in it.
How long do you think it's going to take to find a quality person that wants to take the position?
I look at a town manager as the CEO of the city. Of the town. It's like a corporate type position. And I know when we would hire senior executives, not so much CEOs, they were usually promoted from within. They were groomed.
Sorry
They
about
were
that.
type of thing.
And yesterday I started
Oh,
using
here we go.
that thing.
Here we go.
Where you put whatever the thing is called.
That
the
nasal
salt thing. And I did it again this morning, the second day in a row,
And
and it doesn't work. I'm sorry. It
All right.
doesn't work.
I
As
know
soon
that
as I
we're
take
on a
the thing away,
serious
it's like,
thing, but yes. Are you using, because I also saw the isopropyl alcohol out. You're not putting that
I
up
put
your nose,
everything
are
in there. I
you?
put some rum in there. I put everything in there just to clean the whole thing out. Clean it out.
burn it out.
I
Just
went
burn
into
it
the
out.
bathroom this morning and I was
No,
like,
I didn't use the alcohol.
okay. All right. I know, you have some cognitive challenges, but I didn't think you would go that far.
So Karen,
Yes.
I know she's going to try and take you off focus today, but
No, I did not start that.
Right.
So last time when you were replacing Roger, you had 90 applications, and Keith and Chris went through those and kind of whittled it down to 5. Who's going to do that job?
Well, we now have an HR director,
Okay.
Talissa, so she'll be the start. So I think she and Andy will go through
Okay.
and whittle it down, and then they will come to us for further, take further considerations and that type of thing. And then we will go through the same process. I mean, there will be public meetings for it. There will, like, we had the breakfast the one
Yep.
time before the interviews, and the public was allowed to come and talk and, get to know the people as well.
I'm always looking
so
over
we'll go-
my shoulder
yeah.
now. I'm sorry. I'm always looking over my shoulder. See? It's just a tram, though. It's not. If somebody throws something at me, I want everybody out the window.
But, fortunately or unfortunately, it's going to take
6 months.
minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So-
I think could be closer to a year, unfortunately.
Wow. So what happens in the meantime? Because he's leaving after 100 to 120 days,
Okay. Well, he
right?
said 100 days.
Yes.
He also said that he would work with us. So I'm counting.
That's a year's a long time.
I
though.
know. I'm counting on him working with us. And I hope that at least, if not the entire time, that he will be flexible and that he'll also come back. And if he is gone by the time we get the new person in, that he'll come back and he'll work with
Kind of
them and review
mentor.
them and
Mhm.
mentor them. And
Yeah. Well,
the same thing that Keith did with him.
Keith seems to be in love with Fort Myers Beach too, so I
Right,
wouldn't
so
be
we could
shocked to
probably
see
get
him
some
around.
help.
Yeah.
Although
yeah.
he's like Mr. Retirement now.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the trips he's
No,
been on?
no.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know he likes to
He's
fish,
been
right? Yeah.
traveling everywhere in his camper all by himself.
So
Are there folks that were in the pool before that that were hopefuls or no? So you're
No.
just starting all over from scratch.
Starting from scratch.
Wow.
do you know how many applicants you have so far?
I don't.
Okay,
I
I will
don't.
find
I
out
mean-
on Monday.
Yeah,
Val.
I'm sure we'll get an update as
All
we
those
go
things
through.
are public.
Because it
Um,
was basically just posted this past week.
Yeah,
Right.
the paperwork in the post said like you wanted February 11th or February 15th. They were really quick
Fast.
dates. So,
Right.
all right. So,
No, we're trying to move as quickly as we can. So.
did you happen to watch our show at all yesterday?
People told me about it,
Okay.
and so I went back and reviewed it.
Do you want to? Is there anything from the show yesterday that you want to address? I want to make sure that if you do, you can.
I think the only thing that I really talked about 6 months ago was the noise ordinance. And we do have a noise ordinance with amplified music, and it's 10 o'clock cutoff. And that was not being followed. And so I brought that up at the meeting and said, I really think that we need to move forward here. Everybody else has to comply with the noise ordinance. This shouldn't be any different. And I hear it a lot from my neighbors even now. I mean, the noise ordinance isn't always being.
Right. Just so if anybody didn't see yesterday, it was Susie Bayhan was on the show. She has the Susie cues up there, and that's
Right.
she really did kind of. I
But
don't want to say blame it on you, but she was
But
not
one thing-
nice to you
One thing
I
that
thought.
she didn't bring up was that it was a 5-0 vote
for the permit.
to go 6 months review. I mean, so it wasn't just me promoting this. I mean, yes, I said, why don't we look at 6 months instead of a year? But every one of my council members agreed with
Yeah.
me. And so it was a 5-0 vote. So
And I know we don't want to talk about. We're not going to talk about things that you have to vote on, and that will come up for a vote tomorrow. So. The next question is, I want you to describe to people watching and people in the audience what you, by the way, everybody, just so everybody knows, I do send the questions in advance to Karen so that if there's something that she needs to ask somebody about, I don't want it. And I send the questions in advance to Dana,
That's what I was going to say.
a lot of the
yeah.
time too. It's not like cheating or anything like that. I want them to be able to grab the answers to the questions that I think are important instead of trying to put them on the spot.
I made some notes for myself.
Cool.
So in case
Cool. Yeah.
I want to make sure that I cover everything. So
What do you describe the mood of the community in your opinion?
divided, definitely divided, very sad. Part of the beautiful vibe of this community was everybody working towards an end result and wanting this community to be better. And now I think we have a huge divide, and we need to agree to disagree, if you will. I know that's easier said than done, but I do believe that we have to come together to keep moving forward.
So I think a lot of people would say it was because of the Seagate vote that the community is divided. Is that true?
I think
Well,
that's-
is it just that?
No, it's not just that. I think that's the beginning. There's other votes that are going to be coming, and I think every project has to be looked at independently and differently. Seagate I commend them for a lot of things. I mean, they were the first ones out of the chute. They were willing to take this risk. And it is a risk right now. It's a risk with financing. It's a risk with banks and what they're willing to support. If we don't get moving on this and have a couple others that follow, you will see your property values drop even further that they have. You will not see the redevelopment move forward as quickly as we like. I mean, we're already almost 2.5 years into this. And I do believe that the developers or whoever they may be coming in first are probably going to, like I said, I commend them for it. I can't say that they're going to get special favors, but the more development goes, the less we are going to need development. And so the ones that come in first are probably going to get the most nods for their work, and maybe not necessarily the last.
Did Seagate get special favors? I just want to, okay,
no,
I want to make sure.
He did not get special favors. That's not what I meant by that.
Good.
I do believe that he has a plethora of public benefit that we're looking at now that we may not be looking at 18 months from now, because maybe we won't need that. We're looking at, just infrastructure. I mean, they are willing to do all the infrastructure work. They are willing to do all of the impact fees, whatever they may be. So they're willing to do what we currently have for impact fees, and they've agreed to move forward with whatever we decide in the future for impact fees.
But every developer will have to follow those.
Every developer is going, I mean, that's just a baseline in my book.
So
let me just ask about the divide when you're talking about the divide, because we hear it. But how do you bridge the gap between those who are at 3 above flood and 17? Like that's a big chasm. Or do you not think so?
Well, like I said, and I've said this all along, there's only probably 4 or 5 locations on this entire island where any kind of bigger development can go. Seagate is one, London Bay, where the outrigger was, obviously Moss Marine is another one, and I'm spacing south. What's Wyndham, the Wyndham. So
thank you, audience participation.
Yeah, thank you. Once you get past those big plots of land, there's really not, I mean, then it's like, unless properties are combined, or, if, you look at places like Sea Gypsy, and it's almost impossible for them to build back without major concessions or combining properties. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if, anybody has thought about, are they're going to sell that whole block and do something. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But there's really not that many places on this island where you can have a development.
So tell people that are watching or here why you voted yes.
So a number of things. I do believe that there was a lot of public benefit that Seagate provided. I think, like I said, I think build back is important. Even the pink shell, even though we're voting on that tomorrow, I will say in the first meeting, he said, I don't even know if I can get financing. When I asked him about timing, when are you going to put shovels in the ground? He said, I don't even know if I can get financing at this point. So that's a huge concern. But every project's different. We all know that. I've talked about that all the time, individual. With Seagate, I'll go back to our comp plan. And there was official, in that comp plan, it talked about redevelopment considerations of 3 different areas. One was Times Square, one was Red Coconut, the other was Santini Plaza. And that negotiations of public benefit were key to moving that forward, and the comp plan allows for that. So I went back through all the paperwork that we had for Seagate. They kept the density and intensity off the beach. That was huge. They kept the same density as Red Coconut. They didn't go over density at all. They added public parks, public walkways, bike paths, access through the backside of view corridors were the only view corridors are the only public benefit that's actually called out in the comp plan, that you have to have the view corridors. They did that. Public restroom on the beach. We negotiated a faster build back. They were talking 10 years. We got them down to 5 or less. It's going to take them 2 years just to do the planning. They gave up 30% of their ground for public access. That's huge. And they agreed to the current and future impact fee structure. So I look at those as a lot of public benefits for one developer.
And I think the public benefit thing is kind of in the eye of the beholder. What do you think about developing some parameters around that could then be added to the comp plan? Is that a yay or a nay?
Well, it's been in constant discussion. Let's put it that way. We've talked about it. At first it was, no, we want to see what happens. Now, as everything is getting closer, it's like, well, maybe we want to consider this. But every time we talk about it as a council, whether it be at a council meeting or at M&P, it seems to just be a thought process. And because we all consider public benefits differently, it becomes.
So you don't think there's any
movement? I don't think it's going to happen.
That everyone could have agreement on.
Right.
I think the elephant in the room is obviously the 17 stories, 2 17-story buildings, 5 buildings altogether. And so I think the people that, again, I don't know what the majority thinks. I think there's a group of people on the south end that maybe, even though they might not say they're in support of it, probably are ambivalent about the whole thing. It's not anywhere close to where they are, but they would like to see building. Maybe there are some. Nobody will fight for it. I mean, I've tried to get people to come on the show to be in favor of it, but they don't want to be hassled with that. So the 17-story thing is what I feel like the people feel they were betrayed on. Like, there's no way this town council is going to ever approve 17 stories. And so how do you kind of make people feel better about that? I mean, they didn't really push back at all to 15 or 12 or 10, or I don't know what the right number is, but I mean, that really is the monkey on everybody's back.
Well, I can't speak for other council members, but I can honestly say that I had many conversations with Matt Price about that. He kind of did the pencil sketch of what, 6 buildings at 3 or 4 stories would look like versus the towers. And I'm sorry, architecturally, I looked at it. I thought it's going to be beautiful. I really believe it's going to be beautiful.
I don't think anybody questions that,
No,
but it is going to be 17 stories.
But will it be? That's the max.
Well.
There's still 2 years of going through development plans and
So
models and
are
everything.
you saying that you would fight for it to be less than 17 now, or you want it to be less than 17 now after you've gotten some feedback?
I would love to see it less than 17. And I've told Matt that. And he said, we've got to get our designs in place. So like I said, I can't speak for any other members of council. I can tell you the conversations that I've had with him.
Do you think the majority of the Fort Myers Beach residents or voters are in favor of something like that or opposed? I mean, I know you got a lot of feedback.
Well,
We'll talk about that in a second, but I mean, what is your gut feeling of what side of the issue? You hear from the loud people. Where are people?
whether people want to believe it or not, I hear just as much positive about rebuild and progress and don't care about the height, just get buildings back. I hear as many comments on that, not in writing, they're usually in conversation, as I do about the people that don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the actual majority is,
Got it.
what that means, but I do know there's people all through this island that want to see redevelopment and
Sure.
nice redevelopment.
Yeah. So, and the other part of that you hear is that the neighbors don't feel like they were protected by this council. Like when I told this story, when Tropical Shores Way went through the whole thing, when Roger wanted to build the shit house back in the behind town hall there, the folks at Tropical Shores Way went crazy, and they got them to change their mind, and the I think the people in that neighborhood feel kind of like they weren't protected by the council. So what do you say to those neighbors?
I do believe that we listened. I do believe that had this hurricane not taken place, there would be a lot different conversations going on. But we are at a crossroads for this island, and we need to move forward. And I do feel for the people on Denora, and I did listen, and I listen to all sides, but I make a decision and I move forward and I stick with it, and people trust me for that. And that's what I have to go on.
So let's talk about the feedback that you've been getting. Has your life been threatened?
Not a death threat per se, but definitely threatened.
Like injury,
Like they're gonna
property damage.
break your kneecaps?
That's already done. So some of the comments were so negative, and we're going to come after you, and you need to leave town, and we're going to push you out of town.
That's pretty threatening.
You're going to lose all your friends. If I lose all my friends, I don't consider them friends to begin with.
Right.
But I have really been watching over my shoulder. Like you said, it's uncomfortable to walk into places. I usually look around and see who friendly faces I see and who not so friendly. I don't want to, I did have the altercation at Junkanoo. It wasn't a slap, but it was the big FU. And I think she was coming after me, but her husband pulled her off. So, it's uncomfortable. And do I watch my back? Yeah. Do I honestly look at my car every time I get in it to make sure it's not keyed or something like that? Yeah. Do I want to live like this? No. Does anybody want to live like this? No. And it's basically coming after the three of us who voted. I know John is copied on the same emails.
Jim.
And Jim.
So is Jim. I somehow get to be the token woman and the target the most. So I don't know how that works, but that's what it seems to be.
Did you forward any of those to the sheriff? Are they aware of the situation? Is it gotten to that point where you want them to know that?
Andy has done that now.
Okay.
So that has happened. I basically forwarded it. Every one of them I forward to our attorneys so that they know, because they're not copied on them. So I would forward to Andy and I would forward to our attorneys so that they know.
Okay. So anybody have any questions from the audience or anybody on Facebook before we move on? I just want to make sure. Do you have a question, sir? Did you want me to ask? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Sullivan, get over here. I know you had a question. Give me any crap. Yeah. By the way, he comes to all the town council meetings and he's very respectful in his comments and his questions. So remain that way, sir.
Thank you, Kevin Sullivan here. Thanks for coming today. We needed to give Dan a rest.
We need to rotate this. I agree.
My question to you is, does your Seagate vote kind of represent the way you'll vote in the future, where some members of the community think that you ignored the comp plan, that you ignored the local planning agency? So that's, I guess, the question. Do you think yourself or Jim or John will continue to ignore the comp plan and the LPA?
Well, number one, as I said, we did not ignore the comp plan. We looked at the comp plan. We took every consideration of the comp plan. I've also said over and over that every development is different. All the criteria is different, where they're located, that type of thing. I don't know what Jim and John or Dan and Scott are going to do. We don't talk to each other about this kind of thing outside of being in front of the public meetings. So I can honestly tell you that I have had many further conversations with Mark Wilson from London Bay and my concerns over his development and things that if it was me, here's what I would be looking at and doing and possibly changing. I do believe I have his ear in some of these things. I've encouraged him to talk to other people and see what they think.
Okay.
So,
When you point over
I
my
just-
shoulder, I
I-
get
well,
nervous.
that's why I
Just
was.
want you all to know
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
So,
Estero Island Beach Club. Why
What?
did you turn down Estero Island Beach Club?
I actually voted yes for Estero Island Beach Club.
so let me give some folks some quick background on that. Estero Island Beach Club is they made a proposal. The town didn't go for it. They didn't like where it was, and then they made a second proposal, and it was in the wrong spot, or had something to do with there wasn't a view corridor, and now they are going to come back with a different proposal. And
Yeah, after we spend millions of dollars with plans and lawyers and the town board is so unfair.
all right, sir.
Go right down the street
All right,
and Neptune and do
all right,
150,
sir. Thank you.
double the traffic. You guys don't do any logic at all.
Well, there's always been traffic on Fort Myers Beach, so
Double a hotel.
well, I mean, I'm not a traffic expert, so.
Can't get
But
up.
I think Estero Island Beach Club is coming back. I know the town gave them they didn't have to wait a year. They got denied that they don't have to wait a year, which I think they
Correct.
want them to come back.
Yeah.
They just need to.
Wow, why are they giving us such a hard time?
I don't know, sir, but thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, we want them back. We want them back. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you come on up, man.
I mean, that
come
was
on.
a very
Let
convoluted
me get out of
meeting
the chair.
too with the Estero Island Beach
Yeah,
Club.
that
And they
was-
had the person that was not in sync with their association as well. And, you know, it was a very convoluted meeting, and I'm glad that they're coming back. I want them to come back. And that's why we did it we went back and we voted without prejudice so that they could come back
Right,
sooner
right.
than later.
I think we're waiting for you guys for them to come with their
Yeah,
new
they have to
proposal. I
submit.
did talk to somebody.
They have to submit
Yeah,
first.
they're working on something. He did say he'd have something soon. That he did say, all right.
So let me just
ahead.
ask, with the comp plan, sort of like the public benefit not being defined, do you think it would have been better to have some parameters with the CPD process built in? Because it seems like, and I've heard everybody say, well, that process isn't in place, and it is. But it seems like it's so wide open that has caused some issues in interpretation with what the forefathers or whoever brought it
Right.
together. So,
Hindsight's always 2020, right? So when we first decided to keep the comp plan intact, because there were avenues for people to build back differently. But honestly, I'm just speaking again for myself. I honestly believe that it's something that we really need to go back and take a look at. I don't think it's working well, and I think it could work better. And I think there needs to be some agreement on that. But at this point, we are operating with the current comp plan and the deviations that it allows.
Okay.
Through CPDs and development agreements, that type of thing. So
your question, ma'am?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
she's shopping.
okay. So here,
Tell us your name.
question. I'm Val Scott, Leonardo Arms.
Mhm.
That is a big issue.
Mhm.
And you know the building. I'm sure you're very involved. They've started pumping the sand. The machine broke 3 times. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Machine broke 3 times. They're still at like Cresciente. And what's happening with that? I mean, is there any variation of the variance that we can get? Because we've got 4 weeks, not even, until we are shut down because of the turtles.
Yeah. Well, and
The birds.
the birds come first. Birds come first, and
Another New Yorker right there. Oh, okay, all right.
the birds come first, and then the turtles.
This is about the beach renourishment.
Like
at
in
Leonardo
terms of
Arms.
the nesting season, not in terms of how much you
Right.
love them.
No, exactly. No, but just nesting and keeping them safe and giving them population
Right.
time. But Chad Schutz is really in control of this whole thing. He has done an amazing job. I know that they're behind the 8 ball because of the 2 other hurricanes that came through and the redo that had to happen. But Chad sent us pictures, council pictures just the other day. I mean, they are working well into the night to make up time early in the morning, excuse some of the noise that's happening on the beach and construction noise, because these developers and these, beach renourishment people, they are moving hard. They are pushing hard because they know they're up against that deadline.
So what is the expectation at this point, to go to the corner of the Leonardo building?
I honestly
or to
don't.
try to get further?
I
down
honestly
towards-
don't know that depth of detail
further
on the
down?
beach renourishment, but Chad would be able, if you wanted to reach out to Chad Schutz, he
I
would
have his
certainly be
number.
willing to talk with you.
So
And
the
he's been
second-
great in answering the questions. And
He has come.
I didn't send her any questions in advance about the beach renourishment. So just to be fair to
No,
Karen.
That's fair.
Yeah, Chad
This
has really, he answers, if you sent me an email and I sent it to him, he gets back to the person the same day. So no, the birds, you can't extend the
No.
time limit. The birds are the
Birds-
birds. The birds are priority in this
But
town. The
there's
birds
no
and the
nesting.
turtles.
There's no nesting now.
Yeah, as soon as bird season starts, Dave will answer your question. He's on the Murph committee,
Yeah.
the new and
Yeah,
improved.
Dave Nussbaum.
He's on the,
He'll help
no, he
you.
doesn't want the microphone. Go sit down, lady. No, you had 2 questions. Get out of here. He's got.
She didn't ask the second.
The Wyndham. What about the Wyndham? It still looks like the Ukraine. It looks like
Does look like. How dare you pick on the Ukrainians like that? They're fighting for their lives out there.
Well, the Wyndham went with,
Did she do that?
yeah. Sometimes less is not more. And I know that the Wyndham went with the cheapest bid. I don't know. Our bid that the town received was like $400,000 higher than what the Wyndham took. And it's one of those things. Maybe you pay for what you get. Seems to me, because I just went past there yesterday. It is really slow, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of progress. However, they are working on it, and they are doing everything. I don't think there. I have to go back and check with Andy if there was an actual time limit that they had to get everything down. But they're
There is
also
none.
dealing with asbestos and all this other crazy stuff. And it's been sitting there for 2 years. So it's a bigger job than it had been done 2 years ago.
You need your own show. All right. How many questions do you want? Get your own show. Talk to this guy. He's a podcaster. He might need you as a guest.
Mm-mm.
No, there's nothing on the table
There's
right now.
Nothing that, I know that it's been up for sale multiple times. I think there's
Won't you buy it?
some negotiations going on with some people, but nothing is finalized.
Yeah, you need something to do. So, yeah,
Thank you, Val.
we love New York and New Jersey. So, speaking of buildings, why is the Junkanoo building still up, Karen? That
It's not
Piece of
Junkanoo,
shit.
it's Fresh Catch.
What?
It's
Whatever.
not the Junkanoo building. It's
you know
the
what I'm
Fresh Catch
talking
building.
about, though. Come on.
I actually had a conversation with Terry 3 days ago.
Okay.
And he has come in with a development order and plans. Granted, it be just a picture for Times Square. And I talked to him about, okay, one thing we cannot do is we can't hold back on one project because he owns another
In
project.
a different LLC.
Right. And you also, it's the same thing with Seagrate Plaza and Kia Estero.
Yep.
It's the same thing. But I asked him, as a good citizen or wanting to be a good citizen,
Which he claims to be.
what is your plan for getting this down? Because if you could clean up Times Square, which that's a whole different thing too.
He's a hoot.
Times Square with the Dairy Queen and the pier side that he did. So that's up to the DEP permitting now. So he did everything he could with the town. Now DEP has to grant the permitting to get all that concrete and everything
But
out.
he can knock down the Fresh Catch building.
He's in final negotiations with his insurance company. He took his insurance company to court.
Well, but that's
But
Terry's got
it
enough
happens.
money. Terry's got enough money. He could take that
You
down
don't
to them.
know.
If you
If
the way
could-
a
if you
lot of
jump
these
ahead,
no,
if you
the
jump
way
ahead.
a lot of these things work, if you take that down,
Right.
you lose
All
all
your-
of your
Mhm.
moxie, if you will, or negotiating power
With the insurance company or
Yes.
FEMA?
with the
With the
insurance,
insurance
company,
company,
too.
they will not reimburse you. I mean, it's crystal clear. You could take 50 pictures
But
of that dump.
that was what
Yeah.
Susie was saying yesterday.
And a lot of
She's-
people are
that's
in that-
her thing for
yeah.
tomorrow. Is She's
Okay.
gonna.
You know,
She's in-
I will say he is working on it. I will say
All right.
that. I said, if I need to see any of those court documents, can you show them to me? And he said, absolutely.
All right.
I can get them to you. But you know, and the other thing is, you know, he had that $500,000 in escrow.
But you're giving back to him on Monday.
No, we're not. We haven't given it back to him.
It's
It has to go through a vote.
Yeah, well, if you vote to give it back to him, it's
Right.
on the agenda Monday.
Right.
Which means he's been a good boy for a year. He's followed, right? Kind of.
Well,
At least
he's-
over here.
He's
At least
been
over
a
here.
good boy on the property that whole
The
agreement
parking
was
lot.
made
He
of.
took the stump out
The
and
parking
whatever.
lot and sunsets, yes.
Okay, so I want to move on to the pink shell. I just want to, if you want to clarify your vote on the pink shell, I know they're coming up tomorrow, but there was one vote in the past. You did vote no on the pink shell, which I think confused a certain group of people because you voted yes on Seagate, but you voted no for a specific reason on the pink shell. So
Mhm.
can you clarify?
Take it away.
Yep. So there were two issues on the pink shell when it started out. One was the island legend that they gave up all of their density and moved it on the beach side. And as we found out, and which I think came as a shock to a lot of people, and it was thanks to Sarah Probst and Judith for finding this, but there was a document filed on June 29th of 2000 to not include parcels 38 and 39 in the density transfer. And no matter what the intention was of the council at that time, it was a 5-0 vote to exclude those two parcels. And Dan Hughes was the mayor at that time. It wasn't Murphy. But Dan Hughes, Ray Murphy, Anita Saracita, Terry Kane, and Gar Reynolds all voted yes to exclude those. So that takes away the whole density issue, and those are the two parcels they want to build on. The reason I voted no, once we got through that, was the shovels in the ground. When are you going to start this project? And we pushed hard on Seagate about, because they originally were at 10 years, then they went down to 5, and they'll do it as soon as they can do all that, and 2 years in planning and blah, blah, blah. So that's why, unfortunately, the owner could not give me a straight answer on that. And I felt that that was only fair if we're pushing that hard on other developments, that we should do the same, even though it's not a brand new development, but it is a new building.
Yeah.
I've had subsequent conversations with them. So hopefully he listened, and we'll see what happens on Monday.
And for a little bit of background, Mr. Boykin, who owns the
Mhm.
Pink Shell, said
Scott
that
Boykin.
he was not going to commit to a time because he wanted to see how this season went before he committed to getting financing to build the mini resort. By the way, and I've said this a couple of times on the show, that friggin' dilapidated house would be right next to it, that's also planned to be a resort. And that guy is kind of suing the town because he thinks it doesn't need to be knocked down. That's how goofy people
Kind
get.
of suing
yeah.
or
There's
is?
some kind of action against the town.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks the
So
town. moved-
even though our building official absolutely red tagged it and said, this is not, it wasn't in good shape before Ian. And now look at it. If you walk past, I don't even want to walk close to it.
yeah.
So the town person went and red tagged it, and then he's suggesting that that's not accurate.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the details of it.
Okay.
Would I like to see it down? Of course I would. Would the whole town like to see it down? Of course we would. And build something nice.
Yeah.
Or sell it. If you don't want to do anything with it, put it up for sale.
Yeah, that guy's, he's not, I don't even think he doesn't even come from anywhere around the Gulf of America. I had to get that in there. Yeah. Did you guys see the Buffalo Grill sign? What Fred put out in front? I mean, you're really testing your customer base when you put Gulf of America with a sign with an arrow on your property. I mean, but that's a true American right
Where was
there.
that?
At their Buffalo Grill. In Times
funny.
Square.
I haven't seen
He
that.
sent me pictures of it. He's proud to be an American, which is nice. So,
I
Oh my
just
God,
want to
I
ask,
love
it.
speaking of Times Square, what is your estimate on when something?
I do know that there's different proposals in the works. I know that the neighborhood company is working with the gentleman who owned the Kilwins building and that type of thing.
we're all here now.
Good
The
looking,
Ropers are
Nan.
here.
Good looking. So I do know that's happening. I know that the property, obviously that was Placa, was sold to the developer in Miami, and he is now also bought, my understanding is, or is in negotiations with Pete's Time Out. So that will
Wow.
expand his place. And so he wants to put in his own proposal for that. Unfortunately, it's just so fragmented,
Right.
and it would have been wonderful if we could have done one big development there and have everything in sync. I don't think that's going to happen. But
I
I
agree.
think it can still look really good,
Yeah.
and it can be eclectic, and everybody can have their own spin on it and their own flavor to it.
And
But
nobody-
it'll be a beachy vibe, and it needs to be cleaned up, and we need
It does need to be
updates
cleaned
on the
up.
pier.
Yeah.
Andy was supposed to meet with Lee County on Friday. Unfortunately, it was postponed till the 13th, I believe.
I just want to ask. I want to ask a few questions, Devin. Yeah, the salted crab. They are planning to come back. I haven't seen anything in
I
the
haven't
portal
heard.
since the original proposal.
I
They
haven't heard a word.
they asked to meet with the town, but they did start to come back. So there's nothing new on that. I am going to ask one of Greg's questions. Ask Karen if the time frame about Seagate is in the development agreement. The time frame to build, is that in writing?
I will go back and check,
Okay.
but we asked for it too, and what they committed to, and Matt had no problem putting it in. I haven't seen the final order, nor have I read
Okay.
the final order, but I can go back and check for sure.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was e-bikes on sidewalks. Are you in favor of e-bikes on sidewalks?
This is such a tough one.
This is a tough one because I think Seagate was
You would
a
think you'd be
tough one.
breathing a big sigh of relief
I
about
know
that.
there's all these sides.
Thankfully,
No.
to be moving on to something like e-bikes, it
No.
should be.
No, because it's so controversial. I don't want to not do something because of fear that some people are going to take it too far and be out of control with it. It is a mode of transportation for a lot of people on this island getting to and from work. You see it all the time. I think I think in all fairness, I think we need to try it. We need to put some parameters around it. We hope that we have compliance with it. But you can't say no because of fear of what some of the that are going to do whatever they're going to do anyway.
So somebody came up to me yesterday, and I'm so glad you brought this up because it went right out of my head till you said that. Somebody was saying that, the town and they want more people riding their bikes and not bringing cars down here, but they need bike racks.
I think that's a really
That
good
should
point.
be pretty something easy and quick to
It
do.
should be.
It wasn't
It should
me. It
be.
was the people yesterday. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. Because I ride
But
my
I
bike down
personally
here.
would like some really cool bike racks. I want some
Well,
beachy bike
design it
racks
up,
and
my friend, design it up.
So we could get some, like the ones that we used to have at the beach entrances and
Yes.
things, the funky, the turtles, the
Yeah.
dolphins, everything.
Just something to hold your bike that
Yeah.
you can lock it up.
But we do need to do that. We're finally getting our beach accesses back into place with the right equipment and everything. So
Yeah, and
that-
are they going to get? Well, that's the county probably to get the Moby mats. Is that the town or the county that gets the mats for wheelchairs to get a little
it's
further
the
out
county that gets the mats.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
But we provide all the actual access.
Listen, if we're
and that
being
type of
honest
thing.
with each other and our 9 followers, there's no. I know Tom mentioned it at the meeting, but there really is no enforcement. If you're not being an ass on the sidewalk, nobody's going to say, "Hey, that guy's got a motor on his bike." If you're being especially between here and Seagrape Plaza, it's suicide
Yeah.
to try and ride in the street on any kind of bicycle. If you see somebody walking in front of you, at least slow down. Or
On your
hit
left, ring your
Yes,
bell,
yes.
do whatever you
Right.
need to do, make yourself known, but don't
Or
run
get
into
off
the
your
back
bike
of them.
and walk it by them. I
Right.
mean,
Or walk,
no one's
Yeah.
really in that big of a
walk
hurry
your
if
bike
you are.
for
you
6
doing?
blocks and
You have
then
a
get back
question?
on.
I love the comments here. So,
State your name, sir. State your name.
Chuck, we're bikers here. We live on the island, and we use sidewalks all the time, and e-bikes. So we ride the road, ride the sidewalks, whatever is safe for us. If there's a lot of people, we get off and walk the bikes.
You just have to use some common sense with
I
it.
was actually hit last summer by a bicyclist without a motor on the sidewalk. I wasn't injured, but they glanced me. I was hit by a Corvette on the road that glanced off my leg. And at that point, I said, you know what? Give me the $50 fine. I'll pay it. My life is worth much more than that. So
You better wear brighter clothes or something, sir. My goodness.
what do I got to wear?
Got a yellow jacket
You gotta,
over there.
you
that
gotta
says
have orange.
You opened
Bright
it up for
orange.
that one.
Just don't.
You opened it up for that one.
Thank you. Just don't get the one that says Beach Talk Radio on the back, or
You know,
you will
that'll
get
get
hit.
you more trouble.
Yeah,
They will run you over. Yeah.
right, right.
No, I mean, if you want more bikes and walkers on the beach, you have to,
You have to
use
have
common
bike
sense.
racks
I mean,
and have
yeah.
it accessible.
And you know, I'll
You got a
even.
question?
Oh, go
Come
ahead.
on up.
How was your massage?
My massage was wonderful. I'm Jamie.
I get a
wanna thank
massage
you for
every
your
week.
service. I
Thank you.
remember going through a round of building permits under the past administration, and I talked to the receptionist at the town, and she said, well, we're going to let you build that pool and that garage, but it's not going to be what you want. I said, I haven't even submitted what I wanted. So their whole attitude was coming from, we don't want to build. And that was a very hard thing. And then the employees at the city and the inspectors all the way through, everybody I've ever worked with the city is wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
I know
think
you,
Andy has
with
done a
the
great
HR
job with that.
experience, I know it's just been wonderful.
Thank
and
you.
we appreciate that, my wife and I. And
Thanks.
that a few months after Ian, there was I believe the mayor of Mexico Beach, somebody come on and say, well, 5 years, nothing's happened. So that was the first thing we did. I'm going to go to Mexico Beach. I want to see what's going on. And my wife and I went there, and there's almost nothing going on. I mean, it's like, wow. And I'm concerned about that. We go out a lot in the evening and nightlife, and I talk to people, and most of them are coming on the island and enjoying the nightlife, then leaving because there's nothing on the island, there's no place to stay. So that's creating excess traffic. So I do think the traffic we're seeing now is a combination of the contractors and people coming on and off the island because they're not staying.
I call them day trippers.
Yep, day
Contractors
trippers.
and day trippers, and it's but I also think that we forget how crowded this island has been.
Mhm.
When you go through all this turmoil and Ian, and then these two hurricanes back to back, and
COVID before that. I mean,
and COVID before that, and you just forget how really crowded it gets here. And I remember when we first moved here in 2018, I mean, there was we couldn't even get into restaurants at that point. You couldn't get a reservation. You couldn't do a walk-in. I mean, you just kind of stayed home or walked someplace. But
And several things that my wife and I love the beachy homes. I mean, that's what this island was, but really it's the people we loved. They had such good hearts, and they'd all help each other, and they weren't like it is now. There's this angriness and this animosity, and I hope that they realize that it's the vibe is the people, not the buildings.
stress does
Yep.
horrible things
Yeah,
to people.
and I know,
I see that.
but
I see it all over.
I just want to thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Jamie. So,
Are we ready for the captains?
what? No, not yet. I got a
think
couple
she's
more things to
ready.
go. No.
I'm ready.
them.
Sorry.
I'm ready
Dear,
for the
she's
captains.
ready.
Who's-
Wrap it up.
In your opinion, whose fault it is that the town lost its 25% flood insurance discount?
I'm not even going there.
Okay.
It's I think there's a lot of facets to it. And I'm not even going to go there.
All
I
right.
can't predict
Fair
the
enough.
future.
Should Laola go or stay?
I love Tom Houghton and I love Laola. If everything he says is true, and I have seen it. I've seen him take the trailers off. I've seen it. Now, will that make any difference to the magistrate? I don't know. We're waiting to hear on that. Will that make any difference to FEMA? I don't know. But is he an amazing citizen
never in doubt.
has been in here? I personally, I hope it stays.
Okay. One last question from the audience.
Have there been any proposals for like water taxis or something like that?
Water taxis is the question.
So there are some proposals in the works, is my understanding. So if and when Moss Marine comes back in, they were going to be the leaders on that. I know Pink Shell wants to jump on that as one of the stops. There's conversations about the marina, like Snook Bite, and then all the way down to Fishtail. There was also, what was that place on not Rose, something Compass Rose.
Mhm.
Compass Rose on the other side of the bridge was going to be a hub. And my understanding, though, is Compass Rose has been put on hold too, I think. So I think there's a lot of interest in it, but it's not just something you slap in.
And there's nothing
the
really
bay,
to
and
go
you got to
around
have
to,
the
yeah.
infrastructure around it to do it. But there's a lot of interest in it, and I think it would be fabulous.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
So last question, then we'll let you go. At one of the meetings, you mentioned that you thought that somebody from the town was leaking information, or that information was getting out. Did you find the leaker? And what did you mean by that? I kind of felt like it was a shot at me. I'm being honest with you. I mean,
well,
it's
you
not
do
like,
come up with a lot of information even before the town gets it out. So I
Thank
don't
you
know
very
how
much.
that happens. Maybe that's just good reporting. I don't know.
I certainly think that's what it is.
my
I mean, I can tell you. I can tell
Yeah.
you how, but I don't want to give away the secret.
My
mean-
main
But
focus.
it's not a leak.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
want to be honest with you. There's nobody on the town staff that I have a private relationship with. And you guys know I would tell you that because I would never put a town staff member in that position.
Which is
I
good. Thank
always
you.
go through Andy. I say,
Yeah.
Andy, is it okay for me to contact Chad?
Right.
Is it okay for me to contact whoever? It's mostly Chad because it was the beach renourishment. Or can you answer this? But
Yeah.
it's never been that way with any. I don't have anybody's phone number on my phone, and so I mean there are ways that I'll never tell, but there are ways. So I just want you to know that the
Yeah.
staff is
But
not
I-
doing anything.
I do think that the main focus of my conversation about this was totally missed. I was saying we need to update our ethics policies because it hasn't been done for like 20 years or something. It came from Lee County. Since that time, we have so much social media. We have all kinds of podcasts, not just Beach Talk
Right,
Radio,
right.
but everything.
Yeah.
And
News
none-
outlets. You have a
yeah,
lot of
I
things.
have a
yeah.
ton of things, and it's not been updated. And so that piece was kind of lost in translation. And I just reached out to our attorneys last week and said, when is this coming? Because we asked you to put some updates in place, and we haven't seen them yet. And I hope that we see them within the next couple meetings.
Yeah. And by the way, I think the town attorney is awesome. I mean, I think Nancy is great. And when she was,
Becky?
and Becky, and when she heard that Andy was leaving, I thought she was going to quit. I thought because she said she had to do laps around the building to catch her breath because they have such a great working relationship.
We all have a great working
Yeah,
relationship, and that's why this was such a gut punch. And still, going through it. And I know that Andy will work with us. I do. I don't want to put. He said he would work with us. I'm not going to put time frames
I
out
just
there.
can't
or
see him
anything
being
like
a
that.
person that just walks away and is like,
No,
I can't
okay,
see him staying
so
for a year, though.
exactly. Okay,
No,
so
but
here's exactly who Andy Hyatt is. So he announced that 2 weeks ago on Monday. On Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., we're all getting pictures because he's down at the 7-Eleven that they started to take down
Yep.
next to our new town hall. And he's down there at 7 a.m. making sure everything's going straight,
Yep.
taking pictures, sending them to all of council so that
Yep.
we know what's going on. He didn't skip a beat, and
No.
he hasn't skipped a beat.
I'll never forget when Milton came through, or Helene, or who the hell knows what it was at the point. All of that fresh landscaping at Margaritaville flowed into the road, and we're driving by. And who's the first person you see out there with a shovel? It was Andy Hyatt
Andy
cleaning
Hyatt.
up the road
Yep.
early in the morning
Yep.
on that street over there. So there's
Exactly.
no doubt about it. It sucks that he's leaving. I mean,
I know it really does. It
So-
really does.
ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for your councilwoman, Karen Woodson. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. All right, before we get to our crazy dressed up dudes, I need to tell you about Eagle Eye Aluminum. Stand up, Tom. Tom is from Eagle Eye Aluminum. He's one of our sponsors. He also sponsors some of the events in the community. Come over real quick and tell everybody about your business. We're at that 3, and go ahead.
Number 3 today.
You get 60 seconds.
I got 60 seconds. Tom Coleman, Eagle Eye Aluminum. I specialize in gutters, soffit, fascia, rescreens. I got several jobs on the beach I've already done. Mr. Hawka here in the audience. I'm working on his house as we speak. Almost done wrapping it up. But 239-340-1639.
Thank you very much, Tom Coleman, everybody. Also, if you saw our walk around yesterday, you saw that we had Alex King giving us a tour of Mid-Island Drive. So hopefully you can go back and see some of that walk around. Alex is ready to create your dream and elevate your lifestyle. Yeah, because I need my lifestyle elevated and my dreams created. Give Alex King a call and live in your dream home right here on Fort Myers Beach, or sell your dream lot here on Fort Myers Beach. Wait, again, looking over my shoulder, I'm always worried what's going on back there. And I know some of you people don't want to hear that. Alex King is ready to take your call at 239-219-0336. 239-219-0336. Ladies and gentlemen, our friends from FMB Strong are here, all dressed up and ready to go. All the tickets are sold out. Come on down, Heidi. Heidi and Nan and Christy and Nan's husband, Jeff. I don't have enough microphones, but as long as you get to show off, yeah, I don't even need to be in the camera. So go ahead. There we go. You're on. Grab a microphone, everybody. Go ahead, Heidi. Tell everybody what's going on.
Question number 1, Ed.
All right.
Can you tell time?
I don't remember the time that I told you that we were going to do this. So if you guys say I said 10:45, then I believe you.
I have the text message.
Right. Delete the text message.
I don't delete them.
I know. Go ahead. Tell everybody what's going on here.
Okay, the second annual Mrs. Roper Crawl is completely sold out. We have sold 500 tickets.
Wait.
We do have some leftover medals from last year and a few extra tickets from last year. So if anybody wants to still purchase a ticket, we can give you last year's medal. So the tickets are $20, and you will be able to get them in person at Snug Harbor on Thursday with the swag bag pickup. Or Saturday morning.
Okay.
At Margaritaville.
So what if somebody just wants to show up and tag along with you? That's okay. Because it's a free country.
It is, yes.
And is anything going to be over by Times Square so people can look out at the Gulf of America?
Ed,
if you're in favor of the Gulf of America, clap. If you want it to be called the Gulf of Mexico, clap.
Does it really matter?
Nobody wants it to be called the Gulf of Mexico.
It's called the Gulf.
It's called the Gulf. Gotcha.
There you go.
Right. So when you guys, what is going to happen along the way? Are there going to be 50-50s or?
Each bar will have a 50-50, and they will be separate. There's somebody lurking over my
it's Mr.
shoulder.
Roper, I think.
I know.
Yes.
So we will have a photo op station at Cabanas with Mr. Roper. Each bar will have a drink special. Some of them have food specials. And they all will have 50-50 tickets. And each bar will be drawn separately. We have a contest for volunteers to see who can get the highest 50-50. So if you are doing the Roper Crawl, you will be hit up for 50-50.
And there's 500 people.
Yes, Christy has last year's medal. I did not bring this year's.
I like the way that looks. I think I know who made it for you.
I think they made this year's.
Very
Todd.
nice.
Todd, what's been going? Oh,
what did
Todd
you win
got
first place for? What was the prize?
The Mrs. Roper Crawl.
I know. Okay, so what are the medals for?
I train all year for.
You did. How do you train for a Mrs. Roper Crawl? What's the training? Yeah, just grab a microphone. We have 4 of them. Yeah.
It's very strenuous.
Yes.
And I took time out of my training today to be here.
So I have a question for you too, men. You are men, right? Seriously. Oh, come on. Relax. Will you stop? So, I mean, do you like dressing up like women? I mean, do you feel feminine when you put the wig on? Are you wearing, do you have things for your boobs?
And rumor has it you're going to be rocking
No,
a caftan
I am
on
not.
Saturday.
No.
So we'll ask
a
you
rumor.
that question on Saturday. Go through the day and we'll see how you feel.
You could have participated today, Ed.
I know. I let you down, Heidi, but it was very serious
Told me the
conversation.
wrong time.
We had a very serious conversation.
Didn't bring your caftan.
You know, I've been very stressed out after yesterday. I had a very stressful day yesterday. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, Ed, let's not talk about that nonsense. We got something fun going on here.
All right. What time does it all start and where does everybody meet?
All right. So Thursday from 4 to 8, you can pick up your tickets and swag bags under the tiki at Snug Harbor from 4 to 8. And then if you don't pick them up then, you can pick them up at Margaritaville Saturday morning starting at 9 o'clock. And all the establishments will be open and ready to punch your tickets at 11 o'clock on Saturday. It ends at 4, and we will be drawing. You can come to Cabanas to get your medals. They'll be set up at 3 o'clock until 5, and at 5 o'clock we will draw all the 50-50 raffles, and also we will have a raffle basket that you can purchase tickets for that day. It's got some really nice stuff in there. We got some gift certificates. We got some coupons for Wahoo Willie's, Snug Harbor. The Islander has coupons. We got some swag from La Ola, Nervous Nellies. I believe Wahoo Willie's also. We got a cooler. We got jewelry. We got a Bluetooth speaker and much more.
We also have a swag bag in the.
Oh yeah, Beach Chuck Radio. I forgot them.
Come on, how dare you? No, so what is the money used for? All the money that you'll raise, what is it used for?
All the money that we raise helps us purchase food for the food pantry of FMB Strong at 820 Buttonwood.
All right, everybody. Anything else? A big hand for our friends from FMB Strong. The event is next Saturday, and it all starts at 11 o'clock right at Margaritaville. So thank you, Heidi. Appreciate you coming on, and we're glad that it's sold out. 500 tickets for next week's event. All right. We'll let you. What's that?
It's going to be
500 Helens. That's going to be some big-ass picture, that's for sure. I want to tell you guys about our last sponsor. We had our roof cleaned this past week. It was ugly, and now it's clean. And if you need a roof cleaner, you want to call Dylan James. He's the owner of Pressure Washing of Florida. His phone number is 239-980-6889. And what you want to have on your roof is somebody that you can trust that if they break a tile by accident, they tell you they broke a tile by accident. They don't break a tile by accident. Not that he broke any tiles, but, you know, you hire one time she hired somebody to cut our palm trees, and the palm tree guy cut the palm trees and it fell through our pool cage, and the guy just left. Because she just found some guy, you know, in the old white pickup truck. Then you hear the Sanford & Son theme playing in the background, and she's like, yeah, $75 for 5 palm trees. And meanwhile, half of them came through the pool cage. So you want somebody you can trust. Dylan is a good kid, and he can be reached at 239-980-6889. 239-980-6889. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, come on over. So, yeah, come on over. You got to put up with the kids, though. Karen has an answer that she wants to share with the audience. Take number 3 and let it rip, Karen.
Okay, so this was to Greg Skazzy's question about what happens. Did the time frame get into the development order? And if Seagate does not pull their permit in 5 years, the development agreement terminates. So there are parameters there. It is in the development agreement, and I wanted to let Greg know that.
All right. Thank you very much for clarifying. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. Somebody.
Get in there. He's going to get in there so we get your picture.
Don't you want to tell your parents how much you love them? Go ahead. You could say it. You don't want to tell your parents how much you love them? Do you want to tell a birthday boy how much you love your parents?
I do. A lot.
You can look right at them and tell, I love you, Mommy and Daddy. That's pushing it, right? That's a little too much, right? How about can we? Yeah. Ready? Everybody sing happy birthday. To, dear Tanner. What do you say to everybody?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for the town council meeting. Bye-bye.
Bye.